let us return to our workshop in the Muse, where Kaido's ears are still twitching with something akin to awe or perhaps disbelief. Rin is looking at me like she wishes we'd never met. And I am standing there with my mouth slightly open. A half-finished sketch of a mechanical dragon, a project for another time, clutched in one hand. The air hums with the weight of what has just transpired. A key, a melody, a man, no, not quite a man, who now has cat ears and markings that shimmer like moonlight on water. This is not the kind of thing one unearths while attempting to modify a singing tale. Rin, ever the voice of reason, or at least the one who pretends to be, breaks the silence first. "All right," she says, her tail flicking with controlled agitation. "Momo, we need to talk about what just happened." I nod enthusiastically, because when is a moment like this not the perfect opportunity for a heart-to-heart? "Yes, absolutely, I was just thinking that we should probably not tell anyone else about Kaido-san's new features." Rin finishes, cutting me off before I can spiral into some grand theory involving ancient cat cults. I wave my hand dismissively. No one will care. Kaido, standing a respectful distance away, though his ears are still perked forward, listening intently, raises an eyebrow. "Momo, if you say so." Rin groans, "You know what I mean." I sigh dramatically and flop into my thinking seat. The one I do not think at all in, but that Rin insists is good for brainstorming, wincing as it creaks ominously beneath me. "Fine," I say, because even I know when to surrender. No one will be told. Kaido exhales slowly, the faintest hint of a smile tugging at his lips, though his new ears twitch slightly, as if they're still getting used to their surroundings. "Good. I'd prefer not to explain this to the city guards, thank you." Rin crosses her arms, though she doesn't look nearly as exasperated as usual. "So, what do we do now? You can't just keep those." Kaido's expression darkens slightly, a shadow crossing his features like a cloud passing over the sun. "Actually," he says, voice quieter this time, "I think I'm supposed to." A bit of silence hangs in the air. Then Rin, ever pragmatic and ever annoying, blurts out, "That's not reassuring." Well, we spent the next hour poring over Kaido's hands. The markings that had appeared on his knuckles were faint, shimmering lines that pulsed slightly when he moved. They reminded me of constellations trapped in flesh, or perhaps the way moonlight glints off water. I reached out slowly, because yes, I do realize this is a terrible idea, and traced one of the lines with my finger. It was warm, as if it were alive beneath his skin. Kaido's breath hitched slightly, but he didn't pull away. "Does it hurt?" I asked, because if there's one thing about pain, it's that we all know it. We've all had a headache or a bruise or something that makes us wince when the wind blows just right. He shook his head. "Not exactly." Rin, who has been uncharacteristically quiet, a sure sign she's either deeply worried or about to say something we won't like, clears her throat. "Momo," she says carefully, "do you remember that time I told you not to poke a stray cat with your mechanical tentacle?" I blink, and that was last week. Rin sighs, "Exactly." Kaido chuckles softly, a sound that's still new and untested on him, and it makes his ears twitch in the way that tells me he's very aware of how strange this all is. "Don't mind her," I say, grinning at Kaido despite Rin's death glare. "She's just jealous because she doesn't have my charm." Rin opens her mouth to retort. But then the markings on Kaido's hands glow. Not brightly, not blindingly, but like embers catching the wind, a soft golden light that makes his fingers shimmer as if they're made of liquid fire. Kaido sucks in a sharp breath. "Momo," he whispers, a voice rough with something I can't name. Is it fear, wonder? Rin and I exchange glances, then I reach out. Because if anyone is going to get us all hurt or worse, it might as well be me. I press my palm against Kaido's. The light flares just for a second, and then, like a breath held too long finally released, it fades. The markings dim, but they don't disappear entirely. Kaido exhales shakily. That didn't happen before. I shrug because what else is one to say? Guess you're special now. Rin groans so loudly that Mr. Whiskers, perched on her bookshelf, startles and knocks a small figurine off the edge of his shelf with his tail. Kaido's eyes flicker with something amusement, relief, and then he says very softly, "Do you think your cat would mind if I tried to pet it?" I gasp, "You wanna pet my cat?" Rin shoots me a look that could peel paint off walls. Momo. But Kaido just smiles, this time fully, and extends his hand toward Mr. Whiskers. The cat, ever the opportunist, and ever the one who rules our workshop, saunters over and leans into Kaido's touch with a purr that sounds suspiciously like, finally, someone competent enough to scratch my ears. Rin sighs, "Oh great, now we have two cats acting like they own this place." I grin, "Nonsense, Mr. Whiskers is the only true ruler here. Kaido-san is just a guest of honor." Kaido chuckles, and for the first time since he arrived, his cat ears twitch in what looks an awful lot like happiness. Well, later that evening, after Kaido had reluctantly taken his leave, "I'll come back tomorrow," he said, voice tinged with something like urgency. I found myself pacing our workshop with my hands clasped behind my back, a habit I'd picked up from watching Rin when she was deep in thought. "All right," I said to no one in particular because sometimes talking aloud helps me sort through the chaos in my head. "We have a problem." Rin, who had been pretending to organize our inventory, read, avoiding looking at Kaido's glowing hands, perked up. "Oh, and what problem is that?" I gestured wildly. "Kaido-san just gained cat traits, Rin. Cat traits. And not the cute ears kind, no, he's got markings and light and a past that clearly involves some sort of, I don't know, magical key." Rin's ears flattened. "Momo." I ignored her. "And what if this isn't just about him? What if the workshop is part of it, or the muse, or Kagari itself?" She sighed, long and dramatic. Something she does very well when she wants me to shut up, which, in case you haven't noticed, is often. "I'm going to bed," she announced, turning away. "Rin." But Rin doesn't listen when I say her name like that. She just keeps walking, her tail flicking with every step, a sure sign she's annoyed with me. I groan and flop onto my workbench, staring up at the ceiling as if it held answers to questions no one had asked yet. Then a sound. Not from above, though I did spot a loose floorboard that had been bothering me for weeks, but from beneath it. A click, then another. I froze. That's when I noticed something I'd missed before. The way the gears in our workshop's walls turned slightly, as if responding to some unseen rhythm. The way the light from our lantern flickered, just barely, in time with a melody that wasn't coming from Kaido's modified cattail. I sat up slowly, my ears twitching with something like excitement. "Rin," I called softly, "did you hear that?" She paused at the doorway, one foot in the air as if she'd already given up on this place. "What?" "The gears," I pointed to the wall behind me. "They're moving." She followed my finger with her gaze, then blinked rapidly, because even she can't always trust her own eyes. "That's not possible," she whispered. "Mechanical things don't just move on their own." I grinned, "Unless they have a reason to." Rin groaned and pinched the bridge of her nose. "Momo, you're scaring me." I waved my hand dismissively. Nonsense, I'm just saying that maybe someone or something wants us to look under that floorboard. She exhaled sharply, then said with the patience of a saint, "Fine, let's lift it up and see what we find." I clapped my hands together. At last, a partner in chaos. Rin shot me a glare, but she picked up the edge of the floorboard anyway. And that, my dear reader, is where our story takes a very interesting turn. Because when we lifted that board, we found a door. A small, unassuming door set into the wood, its handle shaped like a paw print. And when Rin touched it, it's unlocked. What? The moment Rin's fingers brushed the door's handle, I swear I heard something. A faint, distant chime like a bell tolling from another world. Rin and I exchanged glances. Then, because someone had to be brave and it was definitely not me, she twisted the handle. The door swung open with a groan of rusted hinges, revealing another workshop. But this one wasn't like ours. The air inside shimmered faintly, as if caught between two dimensions. Tools hung on walls that pulsed with golden light, the same kind Kaido's markings had emitted, and the scent of ozone and old metal filled my nostrils. Rin took a step forward, her tail flicking with a mix of curiosity and unease, because she knows this is what leads to trouble. "Momo, I don't think we should." But then her voice cut through the air, soft and melodic, a melody that wrapped around us like a thread. "Oh," it said, "you found me." We spun around, expecting some grand figure or maybe even a ghost, because of course this would be in a haunted workshop. Instead, we found ourselves. Well, not exactly. The versions of ourselves standing there were slightly different. Our outlines shimmered with the same golden light Kaido's markings had emitted. Rin gasped, "Momo." I blinked rapidly, trying to process what was happening. "Ugh, hello." The Rin-like figure tilted her head. "You are not welcome here." And then a memory flashed in my mind. A flash of Kaido's mother pressing a key into his hand as a child. A workshop similar to this one, filled with mechanical cats that sang. A door beneath the floorboards, leading somewhere it shouldn't have. I sucked in a sharp breath. "Rin, do you remember?" She went still. Then slowly, "The first time Kaido came in here, he was looking for something. His mother's workshop." A chill ran down my spine, and now we're standing in it. The Rin figure stepped forward, though her movements were stiff as if she were made of glass. "This place is not yours to explore, it is his." I swallowed hard. "His, you mean Kaido's?" She didn't answer. Instead, the door behind us slammed shut, not with force but with finality, as if sealing something off. Rin's ears flattened against her head. "Momo, I don't think we're supposed to be here." I nodded slowly, my mind racing. No, you're right." A silence fell between us, one of those heavy, "this isn't good" kinds. Then Rin's tail flicked, her voice tight with controlled anger. "We need to tell Kaido about this." I groaned and flopped onto the floorboard, staring up at the ceiling. "Ugh, fine, but if he gets mad at us, I'm blaming you for not shutting that door faster." Rin sighed, but she didn't argue. Instead, we sat there in silence, waiting for Kaido to arrive, and wondering just how much deeper this rabbit hole went. "What?" Kaido returned the next afternoon, his ears twitching slightly more than usual, as if they were listening for something. He paused in our workshop's doorway, taking in the sight of Rin and me sitting on the floorboard like two small children who'd been scolded. Rin cleared her throat. "Kaido-san, we need to talk." Kaido's expression shifted just slightly, but his gaze was sharp, as if he'd been expecting this. "I take it your experiment went further than intended." I groaned and buried my face in my hands. Oh God. Rin sighed. We found something beneath the floorboards. Kaido's ears perked up, all of them human and cat. A bit of silence passed, then he said softly, Show me. So we did. When we lifted the board this time, there was no door, no shimmering workshop beyond, just the empty space beneath our floorboards. But Kaido didn't seem surprised. If anything, his shoulders relaxed slightly, as if whatever weight had been pressing on him had lifted. Rin frowned. Kaido-san. He looked at us, then down at the markings on his hands, which no longer glowed but pulsed faintly like a heartbeat. I think, he said slowly, my mother didn't just leave me the key for nothing. I perked up, because this was the moment where everything made sense, or at least, the part where I got to pretend it did. Oh, and what do you think she left it for? Kaido's lips quirked just slightly. To find her. A silence fell over us, thick with implications. Then Rin, ever the one to cut through nonsense, because sometimes we just need to say what's obvious, said. So, your mother's still alive. Kaido nodded. I believe so. My mind raced, because if there was one thing I loved more than a good mystery, it was solving one. You all right, I said, clapping my hands together. Then we have a problem to solve. Rin groaned. Momo. Kaido chuckled softly, a sound that made his new ears twitch with something like hope. Let's go find her, he said. And just like that, our little workshop in the Muse became the starting point of an adventure far bigger than any singing cat tale, or even Kaido's transformation could have prepared us for. Well, to be continued.